We in there.
So, who are some of the top rappers of the 1990s? Let's get it, y'all.
My era,
All right.
my decade.
So, welcome to Grown Man Bars, the best show on hip hop for grown-ups in America where it's tax season. And that means if you let somebody borrow money last year and they told you they were going to pay you back with their tax return, you're about to find out they lied. While you're here, go ahead and man hug that like and subscribe button so we can keep this party going over here. I'm your man, Chad. With me, as always, is a man so tough he uses pepper spray as barbecue sauce. Big Absolute.
What it do? What it do? We in here.
Camo may be making his return one day. We don't know. He may be having technical difficulties. I'm not even sure. But what we're going to do tonight is go boxing style with 9 rounds of the best rappers from the 1990s. Now, hold on. This isn't exactly a complete list by any means. We aren't putting them in any order. And this is just us having fun with some of the best rappers in the best era who don't always get the flowers they deserve. You know, if there's somebody you want to talk about, somebody we don't mention, holler at us in the comments. We will chop it up. But there are going to be names like Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, Nas that you probably won't hear us mention. That does not mean we don't think they are the top rappers. They certainly are. We are just picking ones that we want to shout out. You know, those rappers that don't always get listed because of those people we just mentioned. I mean, Tupac and Biggie took up a lot of air in the 90s. So there were a lot of rappers that didn't get talked about because they got pushed to the back page, got pushed to page 6.
Man, they was only here half a decade too, and took up the whole decade. It's crazy.
Just took all the air out of the room.
Yeah, just took the whole decade up. It's fine. It's whatever.
All right. So how we gonna do it is top rappers of the 90s, 3 minutes per round. One round. Well, actually, we'll do 2 minutes per round. 1 round per rapper. Everybody gets 45 seconds to say who this person, or to say why this person was or wasn't among the best rappers of the 90s. And if you go over your time, you will hear this sound.
You've reached your limit on talking.
That's just the way it is. You have to, yes.
I've got that occasionally. It's fine. It's fine.
Additionally, you may be muted for the next round if I feel like it. Tough break, talk fast. That's just the way we'll have to do it.
Oh wow, not muted. Okay.
That is just the way we'll have to do it. We will check the comments in between rounds as we go. And that's the way we'll go. But I'm gonna start because I chose myself. I flipped a coin backstage when nobody was here. And I won.
I feel slighted. I feel very slighted.
Hey, look at it this way, man. You get to go next.
Okay. I didn't come in first. I came in not last. What's happening right now?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That's understandable. All right.
And I'm gonna come in hot. I'm coming in with a hot take, man. I have a hot take for you on this one. The first rapper I want to name as one of the top rappers of the 1990s is AZ Anthony Cruz. Now, if you've watched this show, man, BA, I know you certainly know this, but anybody who's watched us over the past few weeks, few months, you know I'm a big AZ fan. AZ is criminally underrated as a lyricist. Criminally underrated. People do not give that man enough respect for the talent that he has. The internal rhyme that he uses is absolutely amazing. The albums he put out in the 90s were Do or Die, Pieces of a Man, and the Firm album. That alone makes him a top rapper of the 90s. However, here's my hot take. I think Do or Die is as good, if not better, than Illmatic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I said it.
Wait, what?
I said it, and I'm not taking it back. I'm not taking it back.
Wait, what?
I'm not taking it back. Hold on. I think Camo's in here. Let's bring him in here and see. Well, maybe not. Hold on.
Please please.
No.
What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Bun. I'm not sure.
Okay, wait. Okay, all right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So first and foremost, I love AZ, and Do or Die by far is my favorite AZ album. It has my favorite song on it, right? And lyrically, he's no slouch. Bar for bar, I would say he's a nice little 1-2 punch to Nasir Jones. Not a problem. But to say Do or Die is on the same level as Illmatic, blasphemous. Blasphemous.
No, I'm not taking it back. I won't take it back. I do feel that way. I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying I don't respect Illmatic, because here's the thing that I say about Illmatic. Technically and culturally, definitely one of the top 3 albums ever.
Okay.
However, when it comes to an album that I want to listen to over and over again, Do or Die does it for me over Illmatic. That's my take on it. That's how I feel. I'll turn it over to you.
It's hard for me to swallow that. Points to you for taking that stand. Like that's a hard line in the sand stand, right? And you were very slick with it, right? You're very slick with it because you knew where my mind was gonna go when you said it, right? When you said that particular album, like you knew where I was gonna go.
Oh, I'm sure I'm gonna get crushed in the comments for that.
And Life's a Bitch, and then like that song with like he was there, spit for spit, bar for bar, line for line with Nas. Like, arguably, if you just compared them MC wise, I'm 100% right there with you, right? I'd be like, yeah, again, nice little 1-2, 1-2. But for those of you who don't know, Illmatic is arguably one of the 5 best hip hop albums ever. Fight me. That's what I said. Ever. Yo, so to compare that to 2 of those,
look, I'm not saying
that's like apples to star fruit. Like that's a whole different situation. Right?
I'm not even saying at this point that I wouldn't argue Do or Die might be a top 5 overall album.
Yo, that's my guy. I see you, B-Lo. I see you.
What up, B-Lo?
Yeah, man.
What's good,
B-Lo? Man, 600 B-Lo, man. Let me tell y'all something about that guy real quick. He's a hip-hop artist, young dude. I've had the pleasure of knowing almost 7 years now, man. And he's originally from Mississippi, but the dude is hella talented. If y'all get an opportunity to catch some of his stuff on YouTube, man, he's out of Dallas now, but he does not sound like a typical Dallas artist. He's got flavor, he's got seasoning, man, and the young bull has got some bars. So blessed to see you up in here, young king. Appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome, man. Good to have you up in here. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on for a second. Then we'll move to yours, and I will turn this over to you.
First of all, let's talk about the bar spitter known as Ricardo Brown, aka Kurupt. If there was a rhyme spitter, a wordsmith, as you will, of the 90s, come on, fam. Look, we can talk all we want to about the death row movement, what Pop did when he got there, what Snoop did, right? But we're talking now heavy spitter. Kurupt has some of the dopest, most memorable quotables on the Chronic album, period. Also, on All Eyes on Me. Also, not to mention, when that dog food product came through, we always knew him and Daz was magical, right? Before we got to see the full maturation. I dare you to give me something hotter than his first solo joint, Corruption, and that Dog Food album. His 2-year run between 94 and 96.
You've reached your limit on talking.
I feel very disrespected.
Got one.
I feel very disrespected. Right?
Got one.
My point was made.
You did make your point. Look, man, especially on the West Coast, there's no way you can argue, not even from an artist standpoint, but from a production standpoint. Kurupt had a huge impact on the West Coast and was buried. And like we said about most of these artists on this list, was just buried behind some artists just happened to be bigger. And that is unfortunate. It's tough to play on a team when you got, two Hall of Famers ahead of you. There's only one. There's only so much ball to go around.
Right. When you know you're a shooter, right? But you in that old Indiana Hoosiers offense, right? Where you got to have 3 passes before a shot. You know what I'm saying? And 60% of the shots is going to them other 2. So, yeah, man. But shouts out to Kurupt, bro. Like, the things he was able to do, still do. He's older now, so the impact is not the same, clearly. But Kurupt was in heavy demand, and Kurupt was a problem for you to follow. So, like doing a track with Kurupt on it, he wasn't pulling no punches. He wasn't taking no time off, right? Kurupt's my guy. I still bump Corruption to this day. We Can Freak It. Still my joint. You know what I'm saying? Still my joint. We Can Freak It was it.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. This one should be easy to do. But it's going to be hard to do. It's going to be hard to do without mentioning the most recent part. But
of course.
Redman is another one of those top rappers of the 90s.
Reggie Noble. I'll take it first. The funny thing about Reggie Noble is simple. Look who jumped up in Uncle Willie's spot.
Uncle Willie's, hey, welcome to Uncle Willie's barbershop, brother.
Man, yo, you came right in, right on time. Get your mind right, baby. We talking about Redman. Get your mind right. We talking about Reggie Noble. Get your mind right. I was just saying, though, that, the funny thing about Red is Red has been a staple since the 90s. And because of the latest project he just dropped, there is no fall off. And so it's hard to say, he never really got his flowers if you're talking about present day. But if you're talking about Def Squad, 90s Reggie Noble, you can understand. He was behind EPMD, K Solo, and he was battling, for that time with Keith Murray. Boom, 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 boom. So he never really got what he should have got, I believe, in the 90s. I believe once he really got to the 2000s, and of course the collab with him and Meth and the Blackout album, so to speak, then it was all over but the shout. What you think, Camo, man? Welcome to Uncle Willis.
Ooh,
what's up, man?
You cut that perfectly close, man. You saw my facial expression, didn't you? You knew I was ready to drop bombs on that.
That's the intro.
Camo, what's good, man?
What's happening, man? What I miss?
Talk to me about Redman, man.
Actually, for starters, he had the coolest legal name in all of hip hop, I believe. Didn't even really need to make up a rap moniker, if you ask me. I was like, man, my name was Reggie Noble. I wouldn't even
Reggie Noble. Reggie.
And actually, AB, the first Blackout did make it right at the end of the 90s. So
it was what, 90, 98, 99?
99, barely made
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So he had not only 3 or 4 solo albums, but also Red Meth album and another one of my favorite albums, the Def Squad, El Nino, which is, I believe, Spanish for the Nino, I believe.
I believe scholars have agreed that was lost in translation hundreds of years ago.
Yes, sir. The Nino.
But that's almost a no skip album in itself, right there, El Nino.
The Def Squad joint was that was a tough one.
Definitely. So yeah, man. And look, if there was a feature, if there was a posse cut, if somebody needed some hard bars, you know they was enlisted Redman throughout the 90s. He's on some of the biggest posse cuts there is.
Definitely warranted, because you know you was gonna get a 16 from Red for sure.
Yeah, I was a big Redman fan, and I think a part of it for me was I'm an energy person. So I respond to energy, I feed off energy, and Redman has a ton of energy. And that is something special about his music, is he brings a ton of energy to it. So I click with that instantly. He's got bars. And I would be willing to start another argument for a later date on him versus Method Man, but it's there. I mean, I laid it out there. I could say it. I do think it's even. It's even at best. It's even at best. It is even at best. Redman.
This dude been look first. Matter of fact, let's just put it on pause real quick. Let me catch you up. Let me tell you how we started. 7:35.
I had a long day. I had takes. I got takes today.
Yo, Camo, 7:35 p.m. This man said, and I quote, AZ's album, Do or Die, might be equal or better than Illmatic.
Bang,
this 7:35 p.m. this 7:35. We just got started. This 7:35 p.m. We just got started. We just got in the room.
That's how he started
the show. Yeah, this is how he started the show. Yeah, right out the gate.
Oh, I got you, AB. Let me clear this up for you, man.
Right.
First off, says the late guy and the guy who's missed the last couple of shows. I'm gonna be here for the Redman and Method Man debate for sure. I got some things to say about that. And AB, I think you know what I'm saying. But
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think people definitely don't give Meth the flowers that Red sometimes receives and sometimes don't. Secondly, let me clear this second debate up. Let me take it a step further and expound.
Talk to him, Camo.
Let me talk to him.
Tell him something, Joe.
Let me tell him something. All right. Not only is AZ's Do or Die equal to or greater than Illmatic, I go on the line on way out on a branch to say that album from AZ is personally to me way better than any Nas album that's ever dropped.
You know what? At this point, I should have known it was the South Carolina thing. Like I should have known.
No.
Right?
Hold up.
I don't know what the weather's like in South Carolina right now. I know y'all had a little cold weather come through, right? And this is this the third strand of like what's happening right there? Like what is anybody in the comments? Is the room spinning? Is anybody watching this? Like on what? You know what? We'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
And when we come back to it, I'm just gonna pose a question for you to mull over. You're gonna be ready because I'm gonna ask you, name a Nas album that is a no skip album.
Let's hold that for the after show.
Yes, sir. Right. I got you.
Let's hold that for the after show. And
I want you to be ready for that one. That's a freebie, just to think, you know.
We will move on to number 3. to the third rapper that we think one of the top rappers of the 1990s, and it's my man, Mr. Bernie Freeman himself,
Bernie.
Bun B.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, look
Let's
here.
talk about it.
Obviously, he's half of UGK, RIP Pimp C. 3 albums with UGK, and I'm just gonna say the names. My clock is running. Too Hard to Swallow, Super Tight, Riding Dirty. Riding Dirty was a masterpiece. Riding Dirty is a classic hip-hop album that is top-tier album. When you look at the top tier of albums, Riding Dirty is one of those. That album is about as good as it gets. But my final point on it, and the biggest point with me with Bun B, is Bun B has become synonymous with Texas rap. When you think about Texas rap, people think 3 names. They think Scarface, Rap a Lot, and J Prince. That's not the third name. And then they think UGK. I'm not saying in that order. I'm just saying when you talk about Texas rap, that is the 3 things that people are like naturally associated with. I mean, basically it's the same as Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas used to be in New York. That's what those 3 were in Texas. And a lot of rap existed in Texas that a lot of people didn't know about. He helped take it to a national level, and he definitely was one of the best rappers of the 1990s. That's what I got to say about Bun B.
My opinion is very unpopular. Very unpopular. Oh,
I
no,
will hear. I will hear no Bun B slander.
Yeah, and there will be none for me. And there will be none for me this evening, right? But here's why my opinion is very unpopular, right? So when it comes to Bun B and UGK, I'll just put it this way. I didn't listen to UGK for Pimp C. I understand the contribution. I understand the necessity, and I think Pimp was dope, right? But my ear, it doesn't matter what Pimp did. My ear always went to what Bun was saying, always. And the epitome for that was on the Master P track, Break 'Em Off, when it was Master P, Pimp C, and Bun B closed out, right? That closing verse is the reason why I stayed a UGK fan, because at that point I loved everything, but it was that verse, to be honest, that got me to Super Tight, right? Not saying, what up, nephew? Not saying that it's not saying it's any variation between who's better, who's worse. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that Bun B himself was the reason why I stayed a UGK fan. Not became, but stayed.
Yeah, I would want to say that about Pimp C too, that I love Pimp C. I'm a huge Pimp C fan, but I was leaning into UGK more for Bun B when it came to rap, because lyrically he didn't have a complicated style. He liked to go with, he usually did a lot of 1 or 2 syllable rhymes, but he had a presence. Like Bun B commands a presence on a track, and that says a lot, because not a lot of rappers can get on a track and they command a presence that you like, all right, I at least got to listen to what this dude's got to say.
Right.
And that was kind of what drew me to him. Camo, how'd you feel about Big Bun Beater?
Yeah, man, one of my favorite for sure ever, definitely in the South. Bun was my favorite of the 2 as well. Not only for his bars and his music and stuff, but how he carried himself on the outside, you know, what he did with the schools, the conversations he's had, and still to this day. So this dude's not just a legend, not just a staple. He's a super legend. You know what I mean? There would be no Texas scene as youngsters might know it today without that dude, by far. A statement that not many would argue, I do believe.
I think that is fair. So let's move right along to the next one. And BA, back to you, my man, Keith Murray.
I mean, first of all, you know you dope when you use your regular name as an MC. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's your rap name, fam? Keith?
MC,
like Keith?
MC Do Danger.
You know what I'm saying?
His original name was MC Do Danger.
And I'm so glad he got rid of that and went back to Keith Murray, right? But let's talk about it. I mean, look, Keith Murray is one of those dudes that you loved on a feature, right? But if we keeping it a buck, the most beautifulest thing in this world is just like that. I get it. First of all, I always talk about how people start projects, how people start songs and intros, right? When y'all mythological ninjas is comical, right? Let's who was doing that in the early 90s? Let's talk about it. Like who was doing that? Yeah, you know, that kind of scheme. But that song alone, this is what's crazy about Keith Murray. If Keith Murray never did anything else but that song, we still be talking about Keith Murray. Period, point blank. We would still be talking about Keith Murray if he did nothing else but that song. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, what I loved about Keith from early on, man, was the vocab. You know what I mean? This dude definitely was dropping them. And I even thought about that. Wasn't too many. I mean, you got like a Rakim or, you know, there's a handful of other ones, but he was definitely one of the first ones dropping that, you know, constant vocab on you, hitting you in the head, hitting you, smacking you in the earpiece with it. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah,
he definitely and with the other two, man, that made it with the, you know, Def Squad, that was they all complimented each other very well. I was a super big Redman fan, but you know, more of a E. Sermon and Keith Murray fan when they Voltron it out like that.
Hey, hang on,
yeah,
Junior
man.
Kings TV. Hang on, Junior Kings TV. We got something for you.
Yo, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy when you talk about Keith because he came right smack dead in the what I guess as Camo would call it the vocab area, right? You had DOS effects, like you had a bunch. Busta Rhymes was starting to surface, like you had a bunch of people with a flow that was completely different than the 4-bar sets up and the 2 and the double entendre lines that we had heard up until that moment. And he was still giving you metaphoric bars, simulated, but he was still punching and scheming on a high intellect and on a high level. That's what made it crazy. On a high level.
That was what I was going to say was I respected most about him was his rhymes were intellectual, and I appreciate it. Now sometimes he would swing off and, you know, he would go all across. You know, he dipped into a little bit of kind of every audience, but he stayed with pretty intellectual lyrics, and that was what I always really liked about him. And that sound, just that whole group sound, that Def Squad sound, man, was just such a new, refreshing sound. It was easy to like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun. Yeah, it was easy to have fun with them.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next one. Camo, start us off with Mr. Cal.
First of all, that was a cool little ad lib that he had. It was almost like his little beat tag. He would open that door. You hear that door, you know, he was about to come in.
Yeah,
that was a cool way to enter a room to me. I could picture him too, like looking like this right here as he could. If you walking in a room, the spitters, like there's a cipher. You're like, y'all ready for me to come in? Because y'all know what it's about to be. I'm about to set this whole thing on fire. Fire! Crazy. Yeah, man. First off, of all the people on this list, and people's gonna have their opinions about this person and that person, I don't know too many people that's gonna argue you that Mystikal wasn't one of the hottest dudes in the 90s. I mean, that whole No Limit movement was crazy. Not only his solo projects, but if you're a No Limit soldier, you ain't fitting to put an album out without getting a verse from Mystikal. That was the first thing you probably asked for at the label. Like, oh, y'all know I got the, or you rap the label. Well, I think the album.
You've reached your limit on talking.
We don't want to put a bow on this one yet. So, yeah.
Uh-oh. He crossed the line.
Oh, did you hit him with the sound?
He crossed the line, and he got the mute. He crossed the line and got the mute.
Yeah, he got me. He got me early. He is on one this evening. You hear me? He is on one this evening.
Yeah, see, I'll bring him back. I'll bring him back when he stops cussing at me. I don't have to edit any of this out. I don't have to edit any of this. That's why this is all so good. I don't have to edit this out.
Oh,
hey, but
yes,
but BA, me and you both talked about this before with Mystikal. That you back now, please, man. Don't let any of that fly. Me and you talked. Yeah. Me and you talked about this with Mystikal before, man. Like, we have all said this, that I would buy albums from rappers that I would never buy an album
ever. Just to hear Mystikal's verse.
I wouldn't even tell people I bought that album, but I knew Mystikal had that's the reason I'd say it. They'd be like, man, why you got this out? Mystikal got a verse on it. And it was because he was so creative. Like, I wouldn't call him a lyricist. He didn't fall into being a lyricist, but his metaphors and the ideas that he came up with, like, I killed Kenny, so I guess I'm that bastard. Just those lines, because he knew how to drop them. This delivery, we've talked about him with his delivery. He knew how to drop those lines. And
yeah, he did that.
Even when he called himself out too, when he'd be like, I'm the fire on the last verse, and make him say, he called himself out. That was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about that, though, right? Let's talk about that. First of all, you were 1,000% sure that nobody in No Limit was doing a posse track without calling Mystikal. And most of the time, Mystikal closed the song because who the hell wants to follow Mystikal? Right? Like, who wants to be that dude after Mystikal? Right? but it's funny that you said that you went out and bought albums because Mystikal had a verse on it, because charge it to the game. Let's talk about it one time. If it ain't my fault, wasn't on Charge It to the Game, I'm pretty sure I would have kept that 1995.
What was the noise he just made?
I'm pretty sure I'd have kept that.
There was a bird. I think a bird got wounded in his room there.
Oh,
it was wild, right there.
Yeah, Mystikal, man. And don't forget that he mimicked his vocal style was mimics. Like, he mimicked his military experience from his old drill sergeant. That's where he got his style from. Like, that's not even his regular voice, right? That's the crazy part.
The boot camp click song that got me hooked. I was hooked right there.
Yeah, straight out that boot camp click. I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this?
That was the only song on that album I listened to, but I listened to it probably 300-400 times until I memorized that one guy's verse. I don't know his name.
Boot camp, that was a nice little track, though. That was a nice little joint.
Now we're gonna move right along, and for something that somebody asked for, the South does have something to say, because another one of the rappers on our list, Andre 3K, baby. All right. So let me do my thing on this round. All I have to say is Southern Playalistic, ATLians, and Aquemini. Each of those albums was an absolute classic. But BA, when we talked about Organized before, you said that they brought us a sound out of Atlanta that we had never heard before. But I want to take that a step further and say that Andre was responsible for a sound that we had never heard before in hip hop. His level of creativity is almost unmatched. I think he does things with music that no one's done before, that no one's thought they could get away with. And a lot of times he can get away with it. Sometimes he doesn't. But to me, the best part about him is that he drops the bravado. He doesn't worry about the bravado of being a rapper. And he is just like 100% pure artist. And
Yeah,
he can still, but people still respect him enough to know that they don't want to go toe to toe with him.
The funny thing about Andre is, you know how we always talk about like when people don't got no rhythm, like they on the 1 and the 4 instead of the 2 and the 4, the 1 and the 3. I feel like mentally he is on another section of rhythmic patterns when he writes. Like he is on where we're thinking about percussion. He's thinking about orchestration, right? He's where we're drums, he's wind instruments, he's strings. Like he is on a different pen somewhere else, right? Which makes him exciting. But he's also one of those dudes that you hold on to. Like you can't wait to hear what he's going to say. And if it's not evident, when the man came out with a flute album and everybody was sad that it had no lyrics on it, even though he said it wasn't going to have no lyrics on it, like it was a flute album, right? It's to this day, you want an Andre 3000 verse. You need a 16, right? I think about the track with him and T.I., Sorry. Like, and I love that song. It's my favorite T.I. song. But man, the way he ended that song, his verse at the end, it's levels.
You've reached your limit.
You and this button right here, I'm not, look, I got my timer set. I'm ready. I'm ready for this next debate for sure.
Wait, you got something to say to me? Say it now.
Got him.
Don't say it now. Don't say it now. Don't say it now.
Okay.
All right.
It's
So,
okay.
Camo, you got anything on 3 Stacks, man?
Well, first I would just like to say when you're naming Outkast straight up classics, you got to throw Stank On You in there with them.
Woo.
Well, that was 2000, I think. That's why I didn't put that one in there. Yeah.
But Aquemini,
you know me and my rules since that was 2000 because they did 94, 96, and 98.
I said corrected, sir.
And I love the fact that they did 2 years in between all of them.
And we waited.
Right.
Back to you, Camo.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'd like to say that there's someone in here named Farty Sweatpants Gamer.
What's happening with that?
Told somebody else that they smell. It said you smell. That's what Farty Sweatpants Gamer said. It said you smell.
What's happening?
Hey, I agreed with him that nobody came close to Outkast though.
Right.
And that too will be a separate show.
Undeniable for sure. Yes, sir.
All right. So, BA, tell us why Ja Rule was one of the best rappers of the 1990s.
Please.
Yeah, and I will. And I will. Because you can say what you want to say, but there was no artist bigger than Ja in the 90s. There wasn't. Ja Rule found a pocket, none. Ja Rule found a pocket and wrote it to death. He wrote it to death because he crossed over quickly. And his first 2 albums were legitimate, right? He parlayed himself into music, into movies. You trying to say Ja's first 2 albums wasn't legit?
Oh, his first one was super legit.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
Vinny Vetti Vici was a classic. I do not disagree on that.
And I'm not saying
for sure.
And I'm not saying the second album. I'm not even saying they're on the same plane. But I'm saying by that second album, Ja Rule was on everything. Ja Rule was on every feature. He had 3 movies. He was on everything, right?
He was on
this is what I was saying about being big, I didn't say Ja Rule by any means was the best lyricist of the 90s. I didn't even say he was the best rapper of the 90s. What I'm saying is,
you didn't even say that he potentially stole his style from another of the biggest rappers in the 90s.
I did not. But what I am saying is this: whose name was bigger in the 90s?
No, I got to agree with you on that, man. When it came to radio play, Ja had a 3 to 5 year era there where his songs dominated the radio. Late 90s, yeah. In the late 90s, his songs that all of that stuff, man.
And he was able to do that. He was able to do that in the midst of the Biggie Pac situation. He was able to do that in the growth of the explosion of what we call of the Wu-Tang. He was able to do that in pockets where everybody's ear and attention was somewhere else, but yet he was still thriving in that, right? Shut up, nephew.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was super late 90s. It wasn't 96, 97, maybe not even starting 98, maybe.
No. So now we're talking about extra commercial success, right? But what I'm telling you is the driving force in the 90s. Murder Inc. was that staple, just like Bad Boy. He was the Murder Inc.'s Biggie Smalls. He was the Rough Riders DMX. He was that one staple that pushed an entire record label forward.
Yeah.
And once they got into the 2000s, there was a lot more friendly radio tracks because there was a lot of features with R&B artists. But from the rap standpoint, Ja was everywhere. And understand, they was an argument away from Jay-Z, Ja Rule, and DMX doing what we all hoped would have happened for so long, right? Which would have really changed the face of hip hop.
When they talked about it, I would have been at the first one at the at Sam Goody to get that Murder Inc. album.
Because the songs they got are tough, yeah. I was
just saying the Murder Grams.
Yeah, no, I feel you, BA. I'm busting your chops a little bit, but I'm saying his first album didn't even come out till 98, 99, so he was really at the end of the 90s.
That is a good point. If I'm gonna put somebody in here who made the very end of the 90s, you know who it has to be, and it's not one that I argue for a lot, but it's Eminem.
Of course. And I would have, right? But we said people who don't get their flowers. That dude got whole rose bushes at this point, right? Right? That dude got whole rose bushes at that point. Like, but I'm just saying, like,
Hey, listen, young fella.
Nephew, you finna get, you got to get it together, nephew. That's right, Sam Goody. You know what it is.
Listen, young fella, they used to make these things called cassettes and CDs. You know, we the things our ancestors used to listen to. We used to have to go to a store and buy, and we had to take, and usually we paid cash. We had to take cash to a store and buy a crisp
$20 bill.
A physical disc that somehow engineers managed to put music on it. And then we would put it in this little magic box in the car and it would play it. And that's how we listened.
A crisp $20 bill.
Yeah.
I didn't even buy my first CD till I was in the military. So
I went with stacks. I tried to convert every cassette I had to CD before I left.
I had more tapes that I found at the football field, the baseball field, stuff after practice that I would have to rewind and repair the tape. I had more like that than I actually bought.
Oh,
Chad had a bunch of tapes. I used to listen to all Chad's tapes.
I had that MC8, Compton's Most Wanted, We Come Strapped. I played that one out. We Come Strapped was another classic. While we're talking about 90s classics, We Come Strapped was another.
Word. Oh, that
I never hear nobody talk about that either.
MCA had his era, man. All right, let's move on to the final one. Camo, this one is yours. Jealous ones envy himself. Joey Crack.
Hey, man, look here. I'm gonna say this: the dude had what 4 albums out in the '90s. Not only did he drop 4 albums, Terror Squad compilation album, their group album came out at the end of the '90s, and this dude was responsible for for Big Pun, and which also dropped right there at the end of the '90s. Not
serious.
the very first cassette tape single that I ever bought in my life was "Hustling is the Key to Success." I'm such a hustler to this day.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I had to, man, because of being the first tape I ever bought, because he dropped 4 albums, because he had the Terror Squad album and brought us Pun. And again, this was one of the dudes that was on the posse cuts. Maybe not as much as Red. Maybe he didn't have them bars like Red. But yeah, man, Fat Joe was definitely well respected. You know what I mean? I know he's got the lean backs and this stuff now. The more commercial success ones, but man, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody, especially early '90s, that spit harder than Crack, that went harder, that brought the passion and the delivery and everything. Like, he was serious. You believed everything he said.
Yeah, you did.
I think so, Christopher, man. I do. I know a lot of people give him. Or do you mean commercially or lyrically? If you mean lyrically, I think so, yeah. But commercially, I think Big Pun did help him a lot. I think they helped each other, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the proper question may be, would we know Big Pun without Joey Crack?
Because I know that Crack had the formula, because I remember him doing an interview and they talked about did Big Pun discover him or did he discover Big Pun, and like how that worked out. Because every time you seen him, he always put Pun in the forefront and always kind of played the capo role. But they actually, Joey actually said that no, that was on purpose, right? We wanted to big Pun, like we wanted to make it a larger than life person. So I was meant to be in the background when we were trying to get Pun out there. So that's a good question. Okay, see, that's fair. I see you over there representing that. You keeping it real. I see you.
Anybody else got anything on Joey Crack?
I'd like to see him again. I mean, you and I talked about this on another show.
That 90s.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jealous One Still Envy. I'd like him to show up again here and there. I think that'd be great.
But I do think what you said makes a lot of sense about Fat Joe now, is that like Big Pun, like losing somebody you're that close to, I'm sure you lost a lot of the desire to want to do what you do. I feel like you probably, and like if you find a way to keep doing what you love to do, you make a lot of money doing it, and you find a way to kind of coast doing it. All of that's understandable to me. Like, it's hard to be hungry for 20 years. Like, we talk about that with rappers a lot. We're always like, man, he wasn't like his first 2 albums. Yeah, he's rich now. Or yeah, he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now he's not hungry like that anymore. Like, he was, DMX was hungry his first 2 albums. I'm not saying he slipped, but I mean, you could hear the hunger. Like, artists in their first album are hungry, and they were like, man, you need to go back to that. But they're like, I'm not that dude anymore.
You can't, all of us have done this, right? We've all had our first, right? And good or bad, right? You could never recreate that first, right? Now, you always want to try to be better than your last, but you can never recreate that first because you don't feel the way you felt on that first. Right? When you got that first opportunity to let people hear who you really are, what you really can do, you will never get that back. Right? And so if the first time you do it is a classic, it turns into a classic. What do you do after that? Right? And you and I talked about that, when we were talking about Nas and Illmatic, Chad, we were like, is Illmatic good? Was it good? Was it good? It was good for the culture, but was it bad for Nas? You know what I'm saying? Like overall success. But yeah, man, Fat Joe, he's still making music. He's still relevant in the game. But if you knew him like we knew him, you missed the jealous one, still envy. Like you missed that Joe. And if you guys, whoever's watching the show, if you get an opportunity to go listen to early Fat Joe, I'm talking about even before Lean Back, right? I'm talking early Fat Joe. Different dude.
Before Lean Back.
Yeah, I'm talking about before Lean Back. It's a different dude. It's a different dude.
Definitely.
All right, so that's really it for us. But I got something for you, BA, because you had 2 extra rappers on your list. I got a little surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
In the 1990s, there it is. I'm gonna give you 45. You know what? Each of these cats gets a minute apiece. Which one of these was better in the 1990s, the Brat or Heavy D? BA, a go.
It's not fair, right? Because this is the conversation. If Tyson fought Ali, you know what I'm saying? It's that conversation, right? Because the eras are different. Even though we're talking about the same time frame, Heavy D was a guy coming out of the 80s where the trajectory was, it was on a different plane because he was a different style, right? That Jamaican being able to flip back and forth, plus he was fun, he was positive, right? But then you got Funkified. Like I don't know what else to say. Funkified shows up, and I argue this all the time. I've said it. I believe the Brat is clearly one of the top 5 female MCs. Period. I believe we've seen a lot of recreations of people. I ain't found the Brat yet. I ain't found who's the Brat yet. Because
I need your decision, sir. I need your decision.
I'm gonna go with the Brat only because she the pinnacle of success she was able to hit in the 90s in a very short time frame, in a very short sample size. Heavy D had the luxury of the 80s coming into the 90s where the Brat just showed up and just didn't ever stop. She never had anything moving backwards. And arguably one of the second best hood love songs ever with her and T-Boz. If you don't know the track, you need to check out the track, right? She did a cut with T-Boz and it was fire. It was the female version of Renee. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna say. That's all I'm
you
saying.
Can't just drop a bomb and be like, that's all I'm gonna say.
Absolutely. The female version of Renee.
Newsflash. Look at the BA. This just in. BA loves the Brat and hates Heavy D. Hates Heavy D.
Anybody who really knows me know I don't hate Heavy D. They know that's my guy. Right? They know that's my guy. But Ghetto Love was it by the Brat. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Ghetto Love was it.
Hey, that'll do it for us, y'all. This has been your 51st episode of Grown Man Bars. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button.
Hit the
help
like.
us out, man. Yeah, help us out, man. We will see y'all next week. Same time, same channel. We're going to do it big, y'all.
Smash it. Smoosh it.
And we're also going to stay here for anybody who's hanging around if y'all want to talk hip hop.
Smash it.
Hit the like.